Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the Nickelodeon documentary film, The Orange Years.
Now this movie shows the origins of the Nickelodeon station, the creations of many other famous cartoons, and how it rose to become one of the biggest animation studios in the world.
Yes, and before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell updates on future podcasts or multiple pause videos.
Absolutely. This was very fun to watch. It was going down memory lane, and it was so much fun, and seeing so many favorite shows, so many favorite performers that actually did live action, and learning so much about this network that we didn't know.
Yes, and a lot of the ones that you remember, like with Ren and Stimpy and Rocco and Hey Arnold and Doug, and they eventually brought them up, but they kind of literally went from the very beginnings of how they made the station to the types of show they were having, and then to the cartoons people know and how they became so well known.
Yes, and they showed a lot of the bumpers.
Yes.
The segues and all those things that made Nickelodeon Nickelodeon.
Right.
And the great thing about this documentary is that it reminds people that, you know, now you got Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, Disney Plus, everybody plus, every streaming streaming network. Streaming service, I should say. And it's normal. But back when this was done, this was not normal. This didn't exist. This was something new and exciting that we didn't have. And we loved it because we could see cartoons 24/7 all the time.
And I said the first network with cartoons for kids all the time. It was like, wow, so they were the first ones. We kept thinking it was Cartoon Network.
Right, true.
So yeah, it was really fun and seeing a lot of the old creators of these shows, how they made a lot of the live action things, and they were just meant to be like sometimes slice of life. They would make sitcoms and they were actually funny.
Yes.
They would like just do things that's just supposed to be something fun but still slice of life, and it would still bring you a lot of humor. So the things that kids would know and like. So they really knew what kids would like to see and just play with that.
And then they also remind you as you did mention, some of the sitcoms or the live action shows like All That, things that really were fun. And they starred kids for kids.
Right.
And we also can remember Hey Arnold, which had what was entirely unheard of then and entirely heard of now, an entire cast of children voicing children.
Right.
Which was a real standout.
Right.
And it just reminds you what made it different, what made it so fun, what made it stand out. Because now you can see Kenan and Kel, Saturday Night Live. Kel plays the dad on another Nickelodeon show now. You've seen them in movies, but you see where they started out before. Good Burger, welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. And take your order. Before that, you got to see how they emerged and got to it.
Right.
And this was just fantastic. Now, we're a little late to the game. This was made some time ago, but it's on Hulu now, available to watch. And if you haven't seen it and you really want to just relive the Nickelodeon years or the Orange Years, then you should watch it.
Right. And you know, towards the end, they start getting to, you know, how big they were getting, more people were watching them. And they even had a lot of things that were based off of books. If you didn't know, Doug was actually based off the creator's life, and how they got the voice actors and why they look so funny looking.
And what was really great is the one who voiced Patty Mayonnaise, he saw her, the person who did the show, saw her do an actual commercial for mayonnaise on TV and said her voice was perfect, and that's how she got the role.
Right.
That stuff just doesn't happen anymore.
Right. And it's great because, you know, they had so much passion put into these shows. And they didn't like have all the creators on there, but they still had, you know, the ones they were able to get or were still here. They were able to showcase, you know, why they loved doing the shows and why they wanted to make it, what the style they were going for. Like they even have one, like except for Rocco, they one for Doug, Ren and Stimpy. And look at when it got close to the end, like they started having Rugrats and Hey Arnold. And then apparently the change was with SpongeBob, right?
Well, before that, we're jumping a little ahead. They also got into making shows that were, they say for a younger audience, but anyone could watch, like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
And Legend of Korra. And those were standouts on that network because no shows, no American shows that were being done of that caliber and of that kind. And they set the bar for what animation and storytelling should be for everyone. They changed how animation was done during the time these shows came out. First Avatar, and then there was a break, and then we got Legend of Korra.
Right.
And we have Nickelodeon to thank for not only producing them and allowing them to be on, but airing both of them. I think Legend of Korra went to online after the first season.
Yeah.
But still, because of Nickelodeon, we have these two standout shows to truly enjoy, and then changed how animation was done. And it stopped being looked at something just for kids. It never has been. Comics and so forth are for everyone. But Avatar and Legend of Korra changed that for everyone.
Right.
So, yeah, we got to mention that before we jump to how it changed because of SpongeBob. And one more thing before that, they talked about how they started having shows where they would do raising money for
fundraisers and game shows too.
And they were the first ones to do that as well. And again, now it's something we see all the time. It's standard, but when Nickelodeon did it, it wasn't. So they were trailblazers all across the board for so many things we see now.
Right.
And then, I don't remember the lady's name, please forgive me, who was responsible for doing a lot of the stuff on the network.
Yes.
And as you said, and then along comes SpongeBob.
Right. And it's under the sea. So with that, SpongeBob became, a blessing and a curse, as they say. And at first it was like, wow, this really amazing cartoon. It was really fun. They had to worry about continuity or anything because it was just something really fun and goofy and just fun for kids.
And it was something different than they had done before also.
Right.
It changed the format, as you mentioned, for how episodes were done and the number of episodes that a series got, the type of characters that were on a series.
Right.
It was unlike anything
they
had done or any other network.
Right. And a lot of the older seasons have a lot of memorable moments and quotes and scenes. Yes, and people really love those. And we eventually learned with it is that this is when the network actually ended up changing altogether. The network became more focused on SpongeBob. They wanted to have SpongeBob on all the time. It became incredibly marketable. But there was so much saturation with it, forgive the pun for SpongeBob, that they stopped focusing on a bunch of other kids' programs.
They got rid of everything else, Sound Familiar, Cartoon Network, and they decided SpongeBob should be the star of the network. So all of the live action shows disappeared, all of the other quality shows disappeared, and it became all SpongeBob. And this woman got very upset and decided she would leave Nickelodeon for Disney. And she went to Disney, and it didn't work out well for her there either.
Right.
She thought she was going to have the type of control and be able to have decision making and input like she did in Nickelodeon, but anybody who knows Disney knows that doesn't happen, and she was terribly disappointed.
Right.
But in her words, she says that SpongeBob destroyed the network because even to this day, SpongeBob is the focus. And they were the original Cartoon Network, like with Teen Titans Go. This was what everything else was scheduled around and formed around. And it was no longer this network that was groundbreaking and had all this variety and, like you said, slice of life and just so many things that let you know how much fun and innovative this network was. All those things were lost with SpongeBob. Now, granted, SpongeBob, again, in the earlier seasons, was a fun watch, great storylines, just fantastic. Later on, down the road, it
started
became
going
something
crazy.
else.
Yeah.
But everything's still organized around SpongeBob.
Yeah, all the time. He keeps winning awards and everything. Now, one thing I will point out when they got to SpongeBob, and I completely understand them being like devastated at all the work they put into it, and then it gets all shut down like that. One thing I did notice was very odd. At the time that the documentary was made, it was after Stephen Hillenburg had passed, so there was no way they could get him on there. But the strange part is that there was no mention of him.
Right.
We knew they weren't going to mention the creator of Stimpy because of his controversy, so we understood that. But everyone else who was still around was able to show up, or they mentioned them. But for SpongeBob, I thought it was very odd. They never mentioned Stephen Hillenburg or anything. I don't know if they were still
I think it's because they were angry because she made it clear that she really just hates SpongeBob, and
Yeah.
she hates how the network changed. And maybe that was part of their showing their viewpoint and showing their disdain by not giving it the credit and attention it deserved. Yes, this may be how you felt, but again, SpongeBob changed animation.
Right, still, some good things came out despite the network pulling that.
And some
good
fantastic voice actors
like Tom Kenny
that we know and we love.
Right.
So if you haven't seen The Orange Years, again, it's available on Hulu. Give it a watch and let us know what you think in the comments below. If you have seen it, do you agree with a lot of the viewpoints that were mentioned? What were some of your favorite shows you watched on Nickelodeon?
Right.
Do you still watch SpongeBob? And do you think it's time for a change for this network? Let us know all of that in the comments below.
Right. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for watching. I'm Oscar Entertainment.
And I'm Mama's Entertainments.
Have a toontastic day.
Nick.
Nickelodeon.